Imagine Houston, a city bigger than many states, suddenly underwater. Not just puddles, but deep rushing water filling streets like rivers. Hurricane Harvey roared in, dumping rain for days and days. It was more than the city could handle. Houses became islands, cars floated like toys, and people were trapped. Families climbed onto roofs, hoping someone would see them. The water kept rising and the sky was dark with storm clouds. Everything felt scary and uncertain. People were worried, really worried about their homes, their pets, and most of all, each other. They needed help, and they needed it fast. The usual rescue teams were overwhelmed. They couldn't reach everyone in time. But then something amazing started to happen. Out of nowhere, like magic, boats started appearing. Not big official Coast Guard boats at first, but smaller ones. Bass boats, the kind used for fishing. Jet skis, zipping through the water. Even kayaks paddled by ordinary people. These weren't rescue professionals. They were neighbors, friends, and even strangers who saw the trouble and wanted to help. They didn't wait for permission. They just launched their boats and started rescuing people. It was an amazing sight. These everyday heroes were coming to the rescue. They knew people were in trouble, and they were ready to do anything to help. Many of these boat rescuers came from Louisiana. People in Louisiana know a lot about hurricanes and floods. They've seen it before. They knew what Houston was going through, and they knew how to help. Quickly, people started calling them the Cajun Navy. It was a fun name for a serious group of people. They weren't really a navy, of course. They didn't have uniforms or official orders. But they were organized in their own way. They used radios and social media to find people who needed help. The Cajun Navy was ready to get people to safety. They were brave and determined. Imagine trying to drive a boat through flooded streets at night. The water is dark, you can't see what's underneath, and rain is pouring down. That's what the Cajun Navy faced. Many rescues happened in the pitch black. They used flashlights and the lights on their boats to find people. It was dangerous work. There were downed power lines, floating debris, and strong currents. But they kept going. They knew. People were counting on them. They could hear voices calling out in the dark. The rescuers had to be brave. They had to be careful, and they had to be quick. It's hard to know exactly how many people the Cajun Navy saved, but everyone agrees it was thousands. Families with babies, elderly people, even pets. They helped them all. Think about that for a moment. Thousands of people who might have been in terrible danger, rescued by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. They pulled people from rooftops, out of flooded cars, and from houses filling with water. They gave them food, water, and a safe place to go. The Cajun Navy made a huge difference. They were a ray of hope in a very dark time. But here's a strange thing. After the floodwaters went down, many of the Cajun Navy volunteers disappeared. They didn't want interviews. They didn't want their names in the news. Some of them just went home quietly. It was like they didn't want any recognition for what they had done. They just wanted to help. And then they wanted to go back to their normal lives. Some people tried to thank them, but they just waved and drove away. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why were they so quiet about their amazing rescues? What was their reason? Were they just really, really good people who didn't want any fuss? Maybe. It's certainly possible. They saw a need, they filled it, and they didn't want to be thanked. But some people think there might be more to the story. Was the Cajun Navy just a bunch of random people with boats? Or was it something more organized? Was it a group that had trained and prepared for disasters like Hurricane Harvey? Did they have secret plans and secret leaders? It's a mystery that some people are still trying to solve. The silence of the heroes makes the questions even bigger. There's a rumor about a report made by FEMA, the government agency that helps during disasters. This report supposedly talks about the Cajun Navy, but it doesn't just say they were good people with boats. It hints at something bigger. It suggests that there was an unofficial rescue network in place before Hurricane Harvey even hit. This network was made up of people who knew how to rescue people in floods. They had boats, radios, and a plan, and they were ready to go when disaster struck. But why would FEMA keep this quiet? What was so secret? What does unofficial even mean? It means they weren't part of the government or any official rescue organization. They were just regular people who decided to get ready for disasters on their own. Maybe they took special classes in water rescue. Maybe they practiced using their boats in tough conditions. Maybe they had secret meetings to plan for different kinds of emergencies. This unofficial network could be made up of people who don't trust the government to help them. Or maybe they just wanted to be extra prepared. Whatever the reason, they were ready to act when Harvey hit. Why would these volunteers want to stay secret? There could be many reasons. Maybe they were worried about getting in trouble with the law. Maybe they didn't have the right licenses or permits to operate boats in a disaster zone. Maybe they didn't trust the government and didn't want to be associated with FEMA. Or maybe they just didn't want the attention. They just wanted to do what was right, and they didn't need anyone to pat them on the back. Whatever their reasons, their silence adds to the mystery of the Cajun Navy. It makes you wonder even more about who they really were. Think about the people who live in Louisiana. They know the water. They know the bayous, the swamps, and the rivers. They've grown up around it. They know how it moves, how it changes, and how dangerous it can be. This local knowledge was a huge advantage for the Cajun Navy. They knew the shortcuts, the safe routes, and where the water was likely to be the deepest. They could navigate the flooded streets like they were born to do it. This knowledge passed down through generations made them incredibly effective rescuers. They knew the land like the back of their hands. Whether they were part of a secret network or just a group of good neighbors, one thing is clear. The Cajun Navy showed the power of community. People helping people, without waiting for permission or recognition. It was about neighbors helping neighbors, strangers helping strangers. It was about everyone coming together to face a crisis. They proved that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. And that hope often comes from the people around us. The Cajun Navy showed the world what it means to be a community. They showed what it means to care. The story of the Cajun Navy has become a legend, a story people tell each other when things get tough. It's a story about hope, about courage, and about the kindness of strangers. It reminds us that even when disaster strikes, there are always people willing to help, people who will risk their own lives to save others. The Cajun Navy is a symbol of resilience. They show us that even when everything seems lost, we can find strength in each other. The legend of the Cajun Navy will continue to inspire people for many years to come. It is a reminder that even ordinary people can do extraordinary things. The Cajun Navy's actions teach us something important about getting ready for tough times. It's not just about having food and water, it's about knowing your neighbors. It's about learning skills that can help in an emergency. Maybe you could learn first aid. Maybe you could take a boating safety course. Maybe you could just talk to your neighbors about what you would do if a disaster struck. The Cajun Navy showed us that being prepared isn't just about individual survival. It's about helping your whole community get through a crisis. It's about being ready to be a hero. So let's remember the faces we don't know, the names we'll never learn, the people who came from nowhere to save Houston. They may have been quiet, they may have been secretive, but they were heroes. They represent the best of us, the willingness to help others no matter the risk. Let's remember them not just for what they did, but for the spirit of generosity and courage they showed. They are a reminder that even in the face of great tragedy, humanity can shine brightly. Let us never forget the unnamed heroes of the Cajun Navy. They deserve our gratitude. The Cajun Navy, a navy that came from nowhere, a navy of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, a navy of silent heroes. Their story is a reminder that we all have the potential to be heroes. We all have the power to make a difference in the lives of others. It doesn't take special training or special equipment. It just takes a willingness to help. So, the next time you see someone in need, remember the Cajun Navy. Remember their courage, their kindness, and their commitment to community. And ask yourself, what can I do to help? Because sometimes, the greatest navy is the one that comes from the heart.